Can rest at ease. Um, Quiet. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really excited about what we're about to hear in a minute. I wanted to say a few things about this person that we've asked to share his testimony. I promised myself I wasn't going to get emotional, so I'm not. I am a rock. This guy. It's like, I thought about, what do I say about this guy, man? And it's more like, it'd be easier to make a list of what I can't say about him. And what I mean by that is, there are so many things that he does that kind of go on behind the scenes that don't get a lot of notice. You hear everybody, hooting and hollering over the cogs and us leaders and stuff like that. But there are some leaders in our midst that do things that aren't in the spotlight. But they're very, very, very important. And one of the things this guy does is he disciples the heck out of people. That's what this church is about. He comes alongside people. Hey, man, what's your name? Tell me your story. Can I help you? What can I do for you? Is there anything I can do? And he doesn't just all pray for you and maybe we'll hook up, in a couple weeks. He's like, let me see what I can do right now. And he'll get on it and he'll help. And he's done that with me. I've known him about, 10, 12 years. And when I first started, I met him at Refuge, Huntington. And when I first rolled up there, I was a mess. You guys know some of my story. I know I'm still a mess, Alan. But I'm a better mess these days. This guy is one of those people that I was the janitor at Refuge Huntington, and he would just come alongside and be like, anything you need, man, whatever you need. He would pull me over in the hallway. Can I pray for you? What's going on in your life? How are you doing? Do you need anything? Can I help you with something? Let me know if you ever need anything. And I knew he was sincere. And I have seen this guy through the years with several people just come alongside people and help them and pour into them and give them things that they need, go out of his way to meet their needs and to pray for them and to find ways, how can I bless this person and be a part of them getting closer to Jesus and seeing what he's like. And I admire the heck out of that about this guy. And the other thing is one of my favorite T-shirts that he wears says, let me drop everything and work on your problem. and when he comes up here, you'll know who I'm talking about. I just wanted to just say those things about him. He's meant so much to me, and I may be one of his pastors, but really this guy has shepherded me and has discipled me, and has been a very important person in my life and my growth in the Lord. So we're going to hear, I'll let him tell you more about himself. So please welcome up Eric Kirkhuff. Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you did. You stepped in it now. Oh, man. How do you follow that? Just drop the mic. Hi, everyone. I'm supposed to be telling my testimony, so that's what I'm doing. I've never done it before, and I'm scared. But it's really good. So I have some stuff. I may read some stuff, but it's from the heart. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up with a wholesome family in Playa del Rey, California, and my parents and family were involved in the Presbyterian Church. And my mom worked in the church office, and my dad was a deacon, and of course, he was the sound and technical engineer. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And that's what I do here for some of other people like online that don't know that that's what I do here. So it's pretty wild. My mom and dad were really hardworking, but they always had time for us. And at 87 and 90 now, they're still serving the Lord. Growing up in LA, I rode bikes, surfed, skated, and I was on a water polo team. After about 15 or 16 years old, I experimented with pot and with some of my surfer friends. But there was something there. I knew even back then that if I did a lot of that stuff, it would change my path so I was always cautious about that and had a sense about drugs and partying, and it kept me clean and others clean to this day. So when I was about 15, my mom would tell me, and she was such a big part of my life as far as just steering me in the right direction. She said she was on her hands and knees praying for me, and I'm going, yeah, okay, thanks, Mom. But every once in a while, I would come in late night and find her on her knees in the living room praying. She was a complete prayer warrior. And she also said, you know, one day you're going to come full circle and invite Jesus into your heart. And again, I'm just going, okay, I'm 15, right? All right. So at 19, I finished high school, and I decided to move to Hawaii because I like to surf. And I went there, and I also started an electronics repair business. And I got to fulfill all my surf and life dreams there. It was actually pretty cool. Second page. Everything seemed to be like a dream. It was really great. My first experience with drugs, like drugs besides pot, on my first service call to one of the famous pipeline house, they called it. And all my guys that I knew, my Surfer Magazine heroes, were there. And I'm just going, oh my gosh, I'm so starstruck. I couldn't believe I'm meeting these guys who kind of shaped my life. And I looked up to them. And when I was done with the call, I asked them, I said, guys, the guys asked me, what do we owe you? And I go, nothing, man. Are you kidding me? I'm so stoked to hear I'm sitting at Pipeline looking at the surf in somebody's house. No, I'm good. And so they looked at each other and went, okay. And then went and scooped out about a coffee cup size of Coke and wrapped it up in tin foil and goes, here, dude, have fun. And I went, and I had no idea what he just gave me. I was like clueless. But my girlfriend knew. And so we broke it up and sold a little bit and kept some for a rainy day. Well, it rained that day. In my 20s, I pretty much tuned out God, but I always had this small, still voice in my head that the Holy Spirit was telling me, there's something missing in your life, you got to go find it. So some years passed, and pretty much I worked, surfed, partied hard, and rode horses on the beach, which was really tough. And at about 28, I met my now-to-be bride, Gail, of 32 years. She pretty much stopped me in my tracks, and I felt like she was exactly the model of a solid Christian woman and a godly woman that I could just marry. I was down with that. But I was not a Christian yet, so she was pretty far out of reach. One thing I heard about growing up in the church and from others was that it was really important for couples to be spiritually on the same page. Or as it says in the Bible, to be equally yoked, which is in 1 Corinthians. Is there an echo in here? Oh, perfect. Thank you, Danny. I always count on you. To be equally yoked. 1 Corinthians 7. Look it up. It's great. At about 30, I started searching for several spiritual answers and did some church hopping and ended up at the Church of Christ in Hawaii. This church had almost nothing in common with the Presbyterian church of my youth that I was used to, but God was still the focal point in the doctrine, and I felt right, but one thing for sure, I was alone in this journey. For months, I sat in the church, in my seat, reading the Bible, watching others get saved and baptized in water. During this time, the Spirit was hitting me pretty hard. I knew I needed to get right with God, and I was starting to get an idea of what that meant. One Sunday, there was an altar call. An altar call at that time was a little bit different than here, but asking people who did not have a relationship with the Lord to come forward. My knees were shaking, my hands were shaking, everything was shaking, I was sweaty. I stood up and freaked myself out going forward, accepting the Lord in my heart. And then I got baptized in water the following week. This led me down a path to marry my wife. Some of you have, let's see, where am I? I felt like I was home. I had my heart, my mind, and everything was at peace with this decision. And it was really a great feeling. And I can see Alan shaking his head because I know where he's come from. We all have a God-given gift, something like the gift of helps, giving money, going on missions, art, service, pastor, evangelism. There's all kinds of things that we are given, and we don't know what they are. Some are obvious, and for me it wasn't. I had no clue until I got connected with Peyton Jones of New Breed, starting this church, Refuge Long Beach, with him. Some know my God gift, which Mikey pretty much said, walking up to anyone, anywhere, anytime, and starting a conversation. Listening, sensing their needs, and then doing something about it if I can. What are your gifts and how can you help the Lord? That's it.
Morning, church. I love a testimony. I love God's glory. Thanks, Eric. Hey, we're going to open up to the book of Nehemiah. We're in the book of Nehemiah. Eric, well done. I almost got up and held a clock for you, but you were on time. I had nothing to do. Man, making me look bad. Eric is usually one holding up the clock for me. And I can echo what Mike said. Eric and Gail both on numerous occasions have been those people that just were there and helped out for me, for my family, for whatever. And one of the things that I love at this church, one of my favorite experiences is just talking a conversation with some of the leaders, some of the people, and somebody says something about, hey, did you see that person? There was a person in trouble and danger, or a person who was a little scary here or there, and there's always somebody who speaks up and says, oh yeah, his name is such and such, and here's his story, or her name is, and Eric is very often that person who took the time to get to know them. You know, last week we had Barry was here last week. Oh, hey, wave to Barry. Barry said he's watching online. He's back in Wales. They're all waving, by the way. Okay, now you got to wave. Eric's going to move the camera. Everybody wave. Say hi to Barry in Wales. He texted me this morning to let me know to say hi to you guys, and he misses us. He really enjoys last week. And I got to give props to Barry, because when he preached last week, he got a little what in preaching here at Long Beach we call baptism by fire. Because and he handled it very well. We had a young woman at the back of the church who was not well and was shouting back in the middle of service, and that happens for us in service sometimes. And everybody, there's sort of an inside joke. All the guys